Emmanuel Abajo is here with Business News. Good evening to you, Emmanuel. What's coming up?
Well, coming up, Ghana Gas Company has decided to construct pipelines from, Tema, also link Tema and the Western region, so that in the event of gas, not coming, or in the event of the Asogli plant and other plants located in Tema not getting gas, it can pump gas from Western region to Tema, and vice versa, reverse flow.
So it's so essentially to make gas, let's say flowable between the two.
I like that
between
word.
the two areas.
Exactly.
So if there's excess gas in the Western Enclave, it can come to Tema, and if there's excess in Tema, it can go
pump back to Western region. That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds like you have some good news.
Yes. All right. So Ghana gas supply from the country's second biggest oil field, that is Twineboa, Enyura and Ntomme, will be made available for the Atuabo processing plant when Jubilee FPSO is shut down. This is part of arrangements to ensure that power generation in Ghana does not suffer when the Jubilee FPSO is shut down. George Sipayanki is the chief executive of Ghana Gas Company.
As far as Jubilee are concerned, we know that by the end of the year, the Tullow will finish the tie into our pipeline. And so if after February, when they are shut down, Jubilee is shut down, we will take gas from the 10 force, which will be about 50 million, 30 million for a start, and then 50 million thereafter. So during that period, Ghana Gas will be able to take about only 50 million of gas from 10, while the FPSO Kwame is being fixed, it's being resolved, the problems are being resolved, and the hope that within 3 to 4 months they could solve the problems on the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah. So when that is done, it means about 170 million of gas will become from that area, that force, the tunnel force. And that explains why we are also expanding the current GPP to be able to do more than 150 capacity that it has now, to be able to have 180. So yes, Tullow and Ghana Gas, we are in constant communication and we are working together. And so we are getting ourselves ready to receive gas from 10 when FPSO Kwame Nkrumah shut down for repairs. There's a plan B, which is the amount of gas coming from 10. And luckily for us, the flow from 10 will be more stable, more consistent, and not be as interrupted as that of Jubilee. But it's more of they come from the gas fields more or less. And also the FPSO that have been built, the FPSO at Amnos, I think took into account a lot of the defects that FPSO had. So the constant interruption of gas supply that you've experienced with the Kwame Nkrumah, FPSO Kwame Nkrumah, will not be the same as the one with the Kwame Nkrumah Amos. I think going into 2018, one can say that we will be reasonably secured as an energy country if you take into account the 180 million standard cubic meters of gas coming from Sangoba fields, and they take into account.
In a related development, CEO of Ghana Gas, George Yankee, is confident challenges with regular power supply in the country will be over once it completes work on new pipelines to transport gas from Atuabo to Tema, with a reverse flow from Tema to the Western region when it becomes necessary. Dr. Yankee was speaking to Joy Business after a signing ceremony that will kickstart the construction of pipelines from the Western region to Tema. The whole project is expected to cost some $500 million.
We will be reasonably secured as an energy country if you take into account the 180 million standard cubic meters of gas coming from Sangoba fields, and they take into account the 170 also coming from Jubilee. I mean, we are going to end up with about close to 400 million scf of gas per day, and that is able to give us, using the combined cycle facilities, that should be able to give us about 800 megawatts of power. And that's quite No, that's about 1,000 megawatts of power. If it's going to be on, if you are talking about combined cycles, same combined cycles plants, then if you get out 400 million scarf of gas per day, that will enable us to generate about 1,000 megawatts of power, and that's quite considerable. As a matter of fact, we are hoping that there could be more fines, because now you are building infrastructure to enable us even to export to some of our neighbors, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. So yet, we are looking forward to the time that we'll be able to make enough gas, process enough gas, get more power, and export to our neighboring countries.
African regional port authorities and ministries of transport in the West African sub-region are advocating the establishment of a regional maritime bank to spearhead infrastructural development in member countries. Speaking to Joy Business in Accra, Director of Corporate Affairs and Communications at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Paul Ansah, disclosed that the World Bank and African Development Bank have issued a paper on the development. According to him, such a bank will provide the necessary financing for ports investments in the sub-region.
Well, the Regional Maritime Bank is supposed to provide financial support for port development across the West and Central Africa. It was decided on by the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa, comprising the transport ministers in the sub-region. That's about 5 years ago. And they decided, when they met, they decided that this bank must be established to provide that kind of support, because the maritime industry is a very dynamic industry. There are constant changes, and the ports will have to respond to these changes. And they would require financial support. But about 99%, almost 100% of the case, the ports are not solvent enough. They don't have that kind of financial backbone to stand on their feet to provide this funding. On few occasions, some of the ports, like the ports of Ghana, have been able to depend or tap into their internally generated funds to leverage this investment or this development. But many of the ports have offshore accounts. As you heard Mr. Adiko said, he said that many of the ports have banking activities outside. If they decide to focus half of those banking activities, on this Regional Maritime Bank, the bank, and then the funds there are reinvested in other areas. Mr. Adiko said the World Bank has prepared a paper on it. The African Development Bank has prepared a paper on it. This Regional Maritime Bank will be able to have the financial muscle to leverage development of our ports.
Olam Ghana has exceeded its targeted market share for the year 2015 by 10%. This, according to the Ghana Cocoa Board, makes it the third largest cocoa buying company and trading company in the country out of over 70 licensed buying companies. The company procured 42,000 tons of cocoa during the last financial year. It is expected to procure more than 90,000 tons of cocoa beans from about 58 growing communities in the country by the end of this year. Speaking at the closing ceremony of this year's Managers Conference in Accra, Head of Business Eric Asari Butwe said he attributed the feat to its recent transformational policies.
Olam last year, when we take the financial year of January to December, delivered 42,000 tons of cocoa. If we take the cocoa board calendar, almost about 62,000 tons of cocoa was delivered. We delivered this with 58 districts among the 75 districts of Ghana Cocoa Board. At that time, our market share was about 6.5%. I remember the chairman for that occasion was Nana Adusei Piasa of TAFO. Nana, in his remarks, indicated to us that he would wish that we'll be able to cross at least 10%. Today, as we stand here, we are proud to say that our market share in the Ghana cocoa industry is almost about 13%. We have almost crossed 90,000 tons, and we have delivered all these beans within the regulations and confines that Cocoa Board has set out for us. Ghana cocoa is an average of about 850,000 tons. So everyone will say that it's a dedicated crop. So from when you wake up in the morning, you know that at the end of the year, an average of 800 to 850,000 tons will be delivered. But as a country, we also had the challenge of not being able to provide that dedicated juicers to be able to take care of the crop. I don't want us to gloss over, because in the last 2 to 3 years, that thing has vanished. And it all goes to the credit of better planning at Ghana Cocoa Board.
And that's all in business for now. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji Viafi. There's more news coming up. Don't go away.